tomorrow, Thursday, August 22nd. Judge Benita Yerson listed a number of reasons for denying the motion, and she says the order resulted in a 31-day window from May 31st to July 1st for the settlement class action members to receive notice and decide whether or not to opt out. According to court documents, the information about the settlement was easily accessible and was provided to settlement class members through the Direct Notice program. Improvements are taking place at Big Rock Park and the New Brighton Fishing Park. A $265,000 project is going to include facade renovations and pedestrian protection in the 8th Street Tunnel, the construction of a gazebo in the fishing park, the paving of the kayak launch at the fishing park, and installation of additional trees and playground equipment, as well as the addition of canopies over the existing overlooks. Officials say that the work performed inside the 8th Street Tunnel will include the installation of delineators to separate pedestrians and cyclists from motor vehicles. They say this will reduce the width of the vehicular travel lane and require the tunnel to be posted as a one-way. Visitors to the parks will need to exit through the 12th Street Tunnel south of the fishing park, which is going to remain open to two-way traffic. Aliquippa Mayor Dwan Walker joined Governor Josh Shapiro last night as part of Pennsylvania's delegation during the ceremonial roll call at the Democratic National Convention being held in Chicago. During PA's portion of the roll call, Aliquippa Mayor Dwan Walker spoke and took the opportunity to praise his hometown of Aliquippa and their football program by saying, "My city's the cities of legends, the only high school in America with 3 NFL Hall of Famers," referencing the Aliquippa Quips. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will not testify in defense of his effort to appear on Pennsylvania's presidential ballot. That's after he showed up late Tuesday to a court hearing in PA where Democratic activists were trying to bar him from the ballot in the battleground state. Kennedy's lawyer blamed a canceled flight from Boston to Philly. Lawyers for the challengers say Kennedy's candidacy paperwork states a fake home address and falls short of the signature gathering requirement that is applied by state law to third-party candidates. Kennedy's campaign dismisses the challenge as frivolous. Should Kennedy appear on PA's ballot, he could siphon support from Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. And Illinois will soon become just the 5th state in the nation to prohibit corporal punishment in all schools. Legislation that Governor J.B. Pritzker signed into law this month bans physical punishment in private schools while reiterating a prohibition on the practice in public schools that was first implemented 30 years ago. The law takes effect in January. Illinois will join New Jersey, Iowa, Maryland, and New York in prohibiting paddling, hitting, and spanking in all of their schools. Chicago Democratic Representative Margaret Croak was inspired to take up the issue after the American Association of Pediatrics updated their calls to end the practice. Currently, 17 U.S. states still allow some sort of corporal punishment in all schools.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Sunny and still on the chillier side today. We'll see a high near 69. Mostly clear tonight. Will drop down to a low of 49. Sunshine and a bit warmer tomorrow. Look for a high of 76 and an overnight low of 52. More sunshine expected on Friday. We'll reach a high of 81 and a low of 56. And a beautiful sunny day in the forecast for Saturday. We'll see a high of 85 and a low of 62. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
On this Wednesday, August the 21st of 2024, at 9 minutes past 11, we've got a temperature of 66 degrees with partly sunny skies in Beaver County. That's news. I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Welcome to Garden Jargon with Charlie Durden right here on Beaver County Radio. Charlie is here to talk to you about everything having to do with your garden. Garden Jargon is being brought to you by Beaver County Radio 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA, and beavercountyradio.com. Call in now and ask Charlie your gardening questions. Share if you have any gardening tips that have helped your garden grow. Phone numbers are 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. And now, without further ado, here's Charlie.
I very much look forward to this for a couple of reasons. Once a month, Charlie comes in, Charlie Dirt, and the show is called Garden Jargon. And I have a little garden. I've got friends that have bigger gardens, and every time you've come here, I've learned stuff.
As do I, Eddie.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And some stuff I've learned, and some stuff is just reiterated. One of the things that's reiterated is Charlie has some seriously groovy, funky, odd, in the best possible way, shirts. For the shirts alone, you should be watching this on social media. That's a good-looking shirt, man.
Best at the dollar store. I should say the thrift store.
Thrift store, even better.
Well, people get these for gifts, and they don't want them, so they take them to you get them brand new.
Why would you not want that as a gift?
I would. You would, maybe. Anyways, it's good to be here. And before we get into how deep to plant your rutabagas.
Rutabagas are horrible. I'll say they're horrible.
Well, that's why I picked them. They're the most off-the-wall vegetable I could think of.
Yeah, there's a reason. All right, go ahead. This is a happy update.
Happy update.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to shout out to my good friend Eddie Trainer. After a long and arduous journey, recently he is informed that he is cancer-free. And him and I've been
on.
Yeah, him and I have been friends for a long time, and you know, we were all concerned about him, but he's a good guy. He's a tough guy, and he's ready to go now for the second half of his life.
That when you had an announcement, I was scared it was going to be something heavy.
Well, no, this show
fits.
This show is not about heavy.
Good.
It's you know, and it's going to be a little heavy at the beginning because
Rutabagas.
I was listening to Town Hall News on this station a couple weeks ago, and they did a report on a pesticide that had finally been banned by the EPA and Department of Agriculture and everything, and it sparked my interest. So I did some research.
Finally banned.
Yes, and I kind of got the topic here. Yet another reason to try to grow some of your own stuff.
Absolutely.
There's a chemical. Now, Eddie, you're the English major. Is that chlorophyrus? How would you say that?
Chlorpyrifos.
Okay, we'll go with that.
When in doubt, just put some weird accent to it, and they think it's food.
Yeah, when you throw a Y in for a vowel, what are you going to do?
El Guapo.
Okay, and they did the story that it had been finally banned. So I did some research, and I was very little shocks me anymore, but I can say that this was real close to shocking me. This chemical was developed by the Nazis during World War II for warfare purposes.
And we're using it to grow food.
We're using it as pesticides up until just recently, just a couple of weeks ago with the courts. It got banned in 1996, and then it got reinstated again. It was a crazy thing. But Eddie, it's funny how things go full circle because Tom Gargaro and his wife Judith were at my house a couple of years ago, and we were swapping plants, and we were talking gardening because Judith is an avid gardener.
She does a phenomenal tomato sauce, pasta sauce.
Yes.
She crushes.
Okay. So anyway, we were out in the garden, and that's the only time they'd ever been at my house, and we're looking at the garden, and Judith looked over, and she saw that I had thrown orange peels out on the garden, as compost. And she said, there's a terrible chemical on oranges. And we didn't talk about it too much because we're talking about 100 other gardening things. Okay?
Sure.
But it did kind of stick in my mind. Well, when I did the research, this chlorophyrus, or however you want to say it.
Chlorpyrifos.
I'll let you say it every time it comes up. Okay. All right. It's sprayed on oranges. It's sprayed on cilantro. It's sprayed. They use it on all kind of stuff. And I saw a video of them spraying it. They do not lightly apply it. They got lawnmower sprayers, and they're just drenching these plants.
No, you're soaking every seam and every leaf.
Yes, and they spray it on grapes. And what happens when you dry grapes into raisins? Now you're concentrating it down onto and it's
I like my poison more condensed.
Yeah, buddy. And then the thing is, it kills insects the way a lot of pesticides do. It destroys their nervous system. That's how they die. Unfortunately, it also does serious nerve damage to human beings, and it's been linked to autism. Kids with autism have found this stuff in their blood, and And another amazing thing, coincidence thing, I was talking to a lady last 2 weeks. I was at band camp, and Beaver Falls band camp, and I was talking to a lady there, and she is retired. She didn't tell me the name of the company. She said it was a Swiss-owned chemical company, and they were doing pharmaceutical things, and they were also producing these kind of chemicals. And they finally said, wait a minute, we're not doing both. We're doing one to help and one to hurt.
Who's in charge of cleaning the buckets? Because if you're doing both of those things, I'm worried about cross-contamination. Somebody's just walking
sure,
by.
Eddie, I'm assuming it was in two different plants because they were a multinational. Yeah, it was a multinational corporation. But we've heard the stories about hauling one thing in a tank truck and then put something else in a tank truck.
Just hose her out.
Right, just hose her out. Maybe hose it out. Okay, but the company was Swiss-owned, and they divested themselves of these companies that make these chemicals, like this chlorpyrifos and whatever. And the thing is, it's one more reason. Now, the climate hasn't changed quite enough to grow oranges in Beaver County. Okay, it may someday.
20 years or so, who knows?
Who knows? You know, but so it's just you be aware of whatever you can raise, because they use these kind of chemicals on everything, because the mass farmers their corporate things, their bottom line profit is what they care about, and if they got to use this chemical and they're still allowed to use this chemical,
they're gonna
use it. Okay,
that's a benefit of gardening, aside from the feeding yourself and the pride that comes with self-reliance and the joy of working the soil and all that. You're making your life better by removing bad parts of your life.
Right. And who thinks if you're going to make some salsa, you go to the store and grab a bunch of cilantro, that it's been sprayed with this stuff? And then another thing, and this is a personal note, family note, my dear Aunt Olive had a cookie recipe that was orange cookies, and it required you to zest the orange, which means you shred the peel.
Shave the orange off of it. Yep.
Yeah. So most of the time you're not going to eat the orange peel, but a lot of recipes call for you to use lemon zest, orange zest. You're shredding it. Well, that's where the chemical is, and you're shredding it into your cookies and giving it to your kids. And it's another reason to grow your own stuff, and it's another thing maybe to do a little research. If you're buying this certain produce or whatever, you can go online these days and you can find out, for the most part, what kind of fertilizers they use, what kind of pesticides, what kind of herbicide. They developed Roundup to spray on cornfields to kill the weeds, and they used genetically modified corn that the Roundup doesn't kill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we tweak this one thing weirdly to make the other chemical work against the original problem.
Right. And it's just, if I startled you a little bit or I scared you a little bit, that's kind of what I was trying to do.
Good. This goes on, and people know this. I spent a lot of my life in the Midwest, and Charlie, you know this.
Sure.
When you drive by and the sign said Crows, and that is a company, Crows Hybrid 122. And about a quarter mile later, Crows Hybrid 135.
Yes.
Crows Uranium 238. That's what all of that is. They're testing hybrids, and they're genetically modifying to get a bigger yield, cleaner yield.
Yes.
That's your job as a farmer. Get as much out of the field per acre as you can, because that's what keeps you farming.
Right. And it's not old Clem and Mabel out there, farming.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. And the other thing is, since you bring that up, it's a little nostalgia. We used to ride out through the country, and the barn would be painted black, and it would say yellow, chew mail pouch tobacco.
On the roof, or on the side.
On the side, because they would paint the farmer's barn for free. He couldn't afford, if they let him put the mail pouch. Go ahead, put the mail pouch sign. Yeah.
Or what was there? There was one in Tennessee you saw, visit something city, Emerald City, Gem City, something city. I remember driving in Tennessee, and Lookout Mountain.
Oh, Lookout Mountain.
Visit Lookout Mountain. Same deal. Want your barn painted? Sure. Do what you want.
Sure. Okay, so I'm not to spend any more time on it, other than hopefully we're going to get somebody to do some research.
I went to Lookout Mountain once on advice of the barn. Underwhelmed. Money
could have been spent better someplace.
I was more excited about you showing up with okra for me today than I was when I saw Lookout Mountain or whatever it was.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're watching on social media, it's on our Facebook page. All right. Want to post a question in the comment section, you can. But Charlie shows up, and Charlie has figured out the secret. Want to do a radio show?
Bring food.
Show up with stuff.
Yeah.
Okra, baby.
Okay. For you Yankees out there, as I am one, I are one.
I is
one. This is okra. Your standard run-of-the-mill okra looks like this. It's green. And this is some of the seeds I give you, Eddie. This is the multicolored okra. Pretty much tastes the same. It's just kind of a novelty thing. And a lot of people don't grow it around here. And Eddie and I have discussed this at length. There's two ways to prepare okra. And the right way is in an egg wash and cornmeal and fry it.
Deep fry, or not? You can deep fry it, but my grandmother, it was skillet fried. But yeah, you
cast iron skillet with oil.
You put a dredge on it. Just think of it as vegetable catfish.
Yes. And if you want to make it taste a little bit better when you make your egg wash, mix a little beer in with the eggs and beat it up.
There was never beer in my grandmother's house.
Well, I can't say that about my house.
Except in my uncle's room in the basement.
Well, my grandmother never had, and my grandmother never grew or cooked okra. When I was a kid, I didn't even know what okra was. And
you showed it to Curtis when you came in.
Yeah.
I said, Curtis, you like okra? And he just said, I don't know.
He said, I never sought it out.
I never saw. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And this when the okra gets to this size right here, it gets much bigger than this. You can't eat it because it gets real stringy and real fibrous.
You're no more than the width of your hand, 4 or 5 inches, and it will get bigger if you don't pick it.
Yeah, and it'll get to the point where a bullet won't go through it.
Yes, it will.
See, I picked everything for Eddie in the garden. See, there's a little baby okra.
Baby okras they're better than the baby corns that come in Chinese dishes. Baby okras, if they're done right, they're beautiful. Now, I will tell you this. Have you ever walked through an okra field?
No, I have not.
It will slice. You might as well walk through concertina wire.
Okay.
It will slice you to pieces. You want somebody else to get the okra for you out the field. You don't want to walk through that field.
Well, see, I have the okra plants, but I have them in a single row, so I can avoid the sharpness of the plant coming. Yeah, but if you had a double row of it, you were walking. Yeah, you're in trouble.
Absolutely.
So if you want to cook the okra the right way, like Eddie and I just said, and you slice it thin, okay. Horizontally across the pod.
Make little discs out of it.
Little discs. And they're cute. They've got little design in them.
Yes, they do, with the little seeds in them.
And if they get real big and real hard and real stringy, then you can save the seeds out of it and you can grow the okra next year.
If they get too big, you're right, you can't eat them. Think of string cheese, but actually made out of string.
Yeah.
You can't get to it.
Right. But okra is an interesting thing to grow. And my granddaughter loves okra, and I made dinner for her the night before she went back to college. And one of the things, we went out to the garden and we picked some fresh okra and fried it up. And there was none left on her plate when she was done. She was eating it with her fingers like popcorn.
That's how we used to eat it. There'd be a bowl of it, and it's the exact same like eating peanuts.
Yeah.
Eating fried okra. Boiled okra is the most disgusting thing ever, and if that gets made, you didn't commit to the vegetable.
Right, and it's the second slimiest thing on earth.
Yes,
Off
it
the
is.
air, I will tell you what the slimiest thing on earth. If you're from Alabama, you know.
I know.
Yeah, but but like the guy that was in here the other day from the smokehouse, used in gumbo as a thickening agent.
Yes,
a little bit. It works fine.
It'll soften it up. Used in gumbo, if you slice it up, it will break it down. And you know this, the longer the gumbo slow roils, the better it is. It will break it down to make it edible if you get some that are too big to eat the right way.
Right. My granddaughter, we had stuffed peppers fresh out of the garden. We had the fried okra fresh out of the garden. And that's a love thing that you can't even describe what it is.
It tastes better.
We shared music and we shared food. And music is her entire life, and it was a nice evening. So
Anthony Bourdain years ago said, if you want to learn about somebody, sit down to a meal with them.
Right, and I read a couple different places that if you were a contractor and you were kind of do business with Henry Ford, he would take you out to dinner, and if you salted your food before you ate
That's right.
you were off the chart immediately.
That's right, because you didn't understand the situation before you reacted to the situation.
Right, and he wanted people that were free thinkers, like he was.
Up to a point.
Up to a point. Any color is fine but black.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do we have time before commercial break to go into tonics for your garden?
No, I want to save tonics until after the news because I got problems. The plants that you gave me, the pepper plant, it's crushing it. The tomato plant, it's crushing it. My stuff, Not so much. So Charlie's going to solve my problems with my garden after the news. It's garden.
We're going to solve some of your problems, Eddie.
About the garden. That's a different thing.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, coming to you live from the Fry Transportation Studios. Beaver County Radio and Fry Transportation, a winning team. 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP, providing news, sports, and information for 76 years.
We at Beaver County Radio are entering our 77th year of high school football coverage on August 23rd with live audio and video coverage of Western Beaver at Ambridge. It's not too late for your business to get on board and become sponsor of the games through the WPIAL playoffs. There is no better way to support high school sports while highlighting your business during a high school football broadcast on Beaver County Radio. Packages and rates are available by calling 724-846-4100 or by emailing fsparks@beavercountyradio.com.
J. Young Refuse and Industry is proud to be an integral part of Beaver County for the past 35 years. Featuring a wide range of recycling services for contracted areas, they are sure to get the job done. The J. Young Refuse team of professional drivers consistently exceeds safety and service throughout the day, while their customer service representatives take professionalism to the next level. J. Young Refuse and Industry proudly supports the Beaver County Boom Broadcast celebration.
Nowadays, it seems like everyone is looking for words of wisdom that will really move them. Well, while I've always considered myself somewhat of a great orator, I realize this has to be about more than just my own eloquence. This is Andy Dangle from Freedom United Federal Credit Union. Listen up. If you want to get moved, start with us. Whether it's moving Junior back to college or moving around in a new vehicle, make the move to the place where the interest has always been in you. Freedom United Federal Credit Union. If you've been moved to tears at the sight of tiresome paperwork and high interest rates at other places, move it on over today and apply for a loan suited for what you need at Freedom United Federal Credit Union. Loan based on credit approval. Stop in for special details, rates, and information. Member NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
If you own a company or a small business, you might have considered advertising on radio. It's smart because radio is still the most far-reaching media outlet today. WBVP and WMBA can get you results. Get more information at beavercountyradio.com.
Visit the annual Big Knob Fair and see everything that's new from electric garage door sales. If you've been thinking about replacing your old garage door, you'll want to be sure to stop at the fair and see the electric garage door sales display. See all their new products from CHI and LiftMaster garage door openers. And Robin and her team have the experience to do the job right with over 50 years of experience. The Big Knob Fair, the perfect place to see what's new at electric garage door sales in Monaca.
The big issue this year isn't whether or not to close the border. This is Cindy Hiladio from Friendly Federal Credit Union. And quite frankly, I'm not sure why people are worried whether or not folks go back and forth from Eloquipper to Center Township or even across the river from Ambridge to South Heights. What's the big deal anyway? The real issue is what group you are with. I recommend Friendly Federal Credit Union. Whether you like to visit the right, the left, or even the center of our teller counter, we welcome your input, or should I say deposits. Join the party, the celebration that happens every day when our member owners benefit by helping each other. This is Cindy Hiladio, and I approve this message. And later on, I'll probably approve a loan or two. Friendly Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Friendly Federal Credit Union, you got a friend.
Beaver County Radio's news source. 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Curtis Walsh.
Good morning on this Wednesday, August the 21st of 2024. We can expect partly sunny skies today with a high of about 70 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. People who live in the Manakatuta public housing community in Manaka say the place needs some work and hasn't been renovated in 20 years, and maintenance complaints have been going unanswered. Those residents were distressed by a KDKA TV report that the executive director and board members of the Beaver County Housing Authority have taken trips across America in the past year and a half, attending conference after conference, dropping tens of thousands of dollars on airfare, swank hotels, and meals at high-end steakhouses. Records that were supplied indicate that trips have cost taxpayers close to $30,000. They say that Executive Director Catherine Walter is seldom alone on the trips and is often accompanied by other board members. Records show that one of their trips to Seven Springs, they spent over $8,000 for 12 hotel rooms, and a little bit closer to home, they've spent over $4,200 at the Wooden Angel in Beaver. Walter has yet to respond to an interview request, and the authority has stated that the trips were funded by maintenance fees. Improvements are underway at Big Rock Park and the New Brighton Fishing Park. A $265,000 project is going to include facade renovations and pedestrian protection in the 8th Street Tunnel. They'll be constructing a gazebo in the fishing park, paving the kayak launch, installing and additional trees and playground equipment around Big Rock, as well as the addition of canopies over the existing overlooks in the park. They say that the work being done at the 8th Street Tunnel will require the tunnel to be a one-way entrance after the work is done, although the 12th Street Tunnel south of the fishing park will remain open to two-way traffic. A judge denied a motion to extend the time frame to opt out of the East Palestine train derailment settlement with Norfolk Southern. The motions to extend the deadline until no earlier than August 30th were filed on July 1st. With the denial, the deadline to file a claim connected to the East Palestine train derailment settlement will be tomorrow, Thursday, August the 22nd, by midnight. State police say an explosion that leveled a home in northeastern PA and killed a woman and seriously injured a man was apparently caused by a propane leak. The blast in Jefferson Township near Scranton was reported around 2 p.m. Tuesday. It sparked a fire that sent thick smoke spewing high into the air and sent debris flying through the residential neighborhood. A 75-year-old woman was pronounced dead at the scene. A man was pulled from the home and taken to a hospital as well. State police say the source of the propane leak and what caused it to ignite remains under investigation. Arch Resources and Consol Energy are combining to form a single coal producer valued at more than $5 billion. Arch shareholders will get 1.32 shares of Consol common stock for each share of Arch they own. Consol shareholders will own about 55% of the new company, to be called Core Natural Resources, and Arch shareholders will own about 45%. Core Natural Resources will be based in Cannonsburg, just southwest of Pittsburgh, which is the current headquarters of Consol Energy. Consol Energy CEO and chairman will be the company's executive chairman, and Arch CEO Paul Lang will be their new chief executive. And Illinois is set to become the 5th state in the nation to prohibit corporal punishment in schools. Legislation that Governor J.B. Pritzker signed into law this month bans physical punishment in private schools while reiterating a prohibition on the practice in public schools, which was first implemented 30 years ago. The law will take effect in January. Currently, 17 U.S. states still allow some sort of corporal punishment in all schools.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Sunny and still on the chillier side today. We'll see a high near 69. Mostly clear tonight will drop down to a low of 49. Sunshine and a bit warmer tomorrow. Look for a high of 76 and an overnight low of 52. More sunshine expected on Friday. We'll reach a high of 81 and a low of 56. And a beautiful sunny day in the forecast for Saturday. We'll see a high of 85 and a low of 62. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
On this Wednesday, August the 21st of 2024, at 35 minutes past 11 o'clock, we've got a temperature of 66 degrees with partly sunny skies in Beaver County. That's news. I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Talk about what's happening in Beaver County or around the world on Teleforum, 724-843-1888. 724-774-1888. It's Teleforum with Eddie Crow.
What is happening on Teleforum is garden jargon, Charlie Dirt, okra talk. Don't get me dragged into okra talk, Charlie. I'll sound for days. But seriously, if you ever see a field of okra and you've got somebody you hate,
Send them in.
throw their car keys in the middle of it and send them after it. Okra walking through will slice you to pieces. What do they call them here? Jagger bushes?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, jagger bushes ain't got nothing on okra leaves when you're walking through.
Yeah, and if you're growing corn for the first time, the corn leaf will do this. It's not as bad as okra, but it'll slice you.
No, it will slice you. You get a little bit more room with the corn than the okra for all the pesticides. That's part of what we were talking about the first half hour, but you mentioned something, tonics for your garden. Tonics like old rheumatism medicine that Granny used to brew up? Or?
Well, it's tonics for your plants when your plants aren't feeling too good or looking too good. And if you are a first-time gardener and you had problems with your plants this year, it's very likely you didn't do anything wrong. That stretch of weather that we had that was in the 90s, and you could cut the air with a knife, it played havoc with cucumbers and zucchini and all that kind of stuff. Cucumbers, and they do not like the heat. There are certain things that like the heat. There are certain things that don't. And things like cucumbers and that suffered. A lot of plants suffered. You alluded to the fact some of your stuff in your container suffered. You couldn't get it watered enough because it was drying out as fast as you
I was watering in the morning when I get home from work and before I would go to bed, and I was still chasing it. Okra loves the heat. My tomatoes and some of my peppers didn't.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's these tonics aren't there. When the weather gets like that, these are going to supplement the plants and help make them stronger to endure that kind of weather that we have. But they're not going to fix everything. And the one thing.
Wait, so what you're describing is heat acclimation football practice for plants.
Yeah,
you're helping.
Yeah, two-a-days. Yeah, it's like the Gatorade bucket at the two-a-days.
Two-a-days.
Yeah,
I did 3.
Okay, well, you were from Alabama.
You know what? I can't. You're right. I did stupid things. Look at where I was at. Fair enough. Please continue.
Well, who among us has not done that? And in the jolliness of our youth,
the idiocy of our youth.
And I've mentioned this before, but in case people weren't listening, and believe it or not, I have a neighbor across the street who is kind of a container gardener that I've been trying to help him. And he told me about this because he saw it on the internet and about 3 years ago, and I've been doing it. If you eat a banana every day for your potassium or just because you like bananas or whatever, okay, and I hope the bananas weren't sprayed with that pesticide we talked about. But anyway, I collect rainwater, and I have my buckets with my rainwater, and if I eat a banana, I go out and I throw the banana peel in the bucket.
You potassium up the water?
Yes, exactly. And the banana peel kind of disintegrates, and in that hot weather like it was, man, you better use that, but you better turn it over quick because it'll get nasty.
Unless you're planting banana bread, you better eat it quick and get it in there quick. Yes.
Yeah. And the thing is, and we've all heard, the public service announcement about standing water and mosquito problems and that, and people, I don't want that bucket of water. I've noticed this, and it's a thing that I've noticed. Mosquitoes go into that water to breed, and they die.
It's too hot.
They can't get back out of that stickiness. I don't know if it's the stickiness.
Oh, because of the potassium and the starches.
Yeah, and you got a bucket full of dead mosquitoes. So if nothing else, even if it doesn't help your garden, you've eliminated some mosquitoes out of the neighborhood. But you just and I did this year too, because sometimes I have an apple a day, try to keep the doctor away. I'll throw the apple core in there too.
Sure.
It's organic, let it rot. Okay, and take it and put it in your watering can and put it on your plant. I wouldn't put it on the leaves necessarily because it's sticky and it'll draw bugs and stuff. Okay, but if you put it around the roots, you will be amazed. It makes the plant stronger. And it's like a lot of other things. Even if it doesn't help, it's not going to hurt anything.
It ain't gonna mess nothing up to try.
And it's organic, other than the chemicals that were in the commercially produced bananas. But the thing is, that's a simple thing to do. In the cooler weather, like it's getting now, you can leave it staying in the bucket a little bit longer. But when it gets hot, you got to turn it over. And you'll know when it's time, because if you step out your back door, you smell your banana water, it's been in the bucket too long. Okay? So that's a tonic.
But again, even if it's been in there too long, it's not going to hurt anything.
Well, they use manure on the fields.
That's right.
You know, and my neighbor that has passed away, she grew up in the South, and she referred to that her family as green manure. When you use stuff like that, like grass clippings and leaves and stuff like that, you know, she grew up in Kentucky, and she had the same disdain for the horse racing business that you do, Eddie. You know?
Yeah, I find it offensive. Anytime an animal is being used for a sport and the animal didn't sign a contract, it's garbage.
Yes, and we won't get into the stimulus that they put into the horses that they. yeah. Oh, we set Eddie off here. We got to get him.
No, we're fine because you brought okra and you're helping with my garden. And I do want to ask you before we run too late, because my garden, parts of it are great. Parts of it I might not get anything out of before there are a couple tomato plants. I'd be surprised if I get anything before the cold snap.
Eddie, you and I do it as a hobby. If you're doing it for a living, you're staying up nights worrying about stuff like this because you got whole fields of something that isn't doing any good.
You've got the money you need for the next year to buy the seed, like John Mellencamp.
Yeah.
That's the guy. That song's the God's honest truth.
Yeah, couldn't pay for the thing Farmers Bank foreclosed.
Yeah.
Okay, another tonic, and this is real easy. Okay, you get your watering can, like your 1 gallon watering can. Some watering cans are 5 quarts, not a gallon.
I got a 2 gallon because I'm a man.
All right, then you're going to need 2 cans of beer.
That's fine.
Put a can of beer in a gallon of water, a tablespoon of Epsom salts, and a tablespoon of Miracle Grow, okay, and mix it up and put it. Tomatoes really like it. It's not going to hurt anything. I don't put it right on the roots, and I don't put this down over the leaves either, but maybe move out about 3 inches from the roots, at the edge of your container.
Right.
Okay.
Just pour it into the inner edge of the tub.
And there's trace elements and minerals and stuff in the beer. I put Epsom salts on everything.
The alcohol doesn't hurt it?
No, it's just.
I mean, it could. If you're putting 151 down there, it's probably not good. But
right, and don't go buy a case of Michelob Ultra or nothing. Go get the cheapest beer that you can get at the beer distillery, because your tomato plant doesn't have any taste buds. It doesn't care. Okay, and the minerals are still there, and it's a simple thing to do. It's an easy thing to do. It doesn't cost you a lot of money, and the Epsom salts is magnesium sulfate. Peppers love magnesium.
Smart guy.
You know, but that's the 2 tonics I wanted to tell you about, that you don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to go buy a bunch of stuff. And what are you going to do with a banana peel if you don't use it? You're going to throw it in the
Throw it in the trash.
You throw it in the trash, whatever. Okay. And we got a little bit of time here. Last segment is
this is the one that I made notes because of the partial struggles of my garden.
Yeah.
Charlie Dirt's here, where it's garden jargon, and I want to know, and you told me one thing, I think, but it's not too late to put a garden in. You can do it right now. It depends on what you're putting in.
And here's the thing, Eddie. Okay, you grew corn. Okay, my corn is done. So you cut your corn stalks and make your corn shock for Halloween, whatever. Now you got the ground sitting there, or whatever, or your cucumbers burned up, like a lot of them did.
They're gone, yes.
The beetles got your leaves on your zucchini or whatever. Okay, the squash beetles and stuff.
Damn beetles.
You got empty ground. There are things that love the cooler weather, the colder weather, that will endure it, that you can plant now. Okay, and there's 100 things. You can plant lettuce, leaf lettuce. You can you don't like you eat spinach.
I eat spinach. Anything that you would like on a burger. Mm-hmm. I'm not putting lettuce on a burger. I'm putting fresh spinach on a burger.
Okay, but does that include good leaf lettuce out of the garden? We're not talking about iceberg lettuce from the store, where the cellophane has more nutrient than the lettuce does.
Lettuce is. I don't see the point of it.
Okay.
There's other stuff that can grow just as well as lettuce that has much more flavor profile than lettuce.
Okay, now here's something. Take one of your containers. You can try this, because my Uncle George used to do this. My Uncle George taught me a lot about gardening. My grandfather, my Uncle George. Okay, he plants his spinach in the fall like winter wheat. He would plant it. He would go out and it would winter over.
And the first cold snap doesn't kill it? Below freezing?
It might not even come up if you plant it late enough in the fall. Mm-hmm. But it's in the ground. It's getting ready to come up, and when it comes up in the spring, once that because spinach likes the cold weather too. It comes up. It will tolerate a fairly heavy frost, not a killer freeze, okay? But he would time it and plant it so it was coming up in the spring.
And it was coming up earlier than everything else.
Right, so you can do spinach now. You can do onions now, if you can find onion sets. Most of the feed mills and stuff, the onion sets are gone. They were all bought up, in the spring. Or if you save some, you can plant onions. Snow peas, that's why they call them snow peas. Yay, yeah. Regular peas, regular pod peas. One of them, you don't eat the pod.
I have the snow pea seeds that you gave me last year.
Remember we told you how to see if they're viable? Put them in the cup with the paper towel and see if they sprout?
See if it sprout. That's what I'll do because I've been saving them going, when everything else is done, I got snow peas, and I'll eat those. Snow peas and hummus.
Oh
my God, I sound like a hippie. Snow peas and hummus and a big steak. There we go.
Eddie, I don't think there's too many hippies that like okra.
Well, there was some long hairs back in the day down there. That's what that gym teacher, Leonard Skinner, had an issue with.
Yes,
but I bet
that's
you're
true.
right. Yeah.
You can plant carrots. You can plant beets.
Does anybody eat beets? Charlie, be honest. Do you eat beets? You go to a restaurant, beets is on the menu.
My grandson and I both like beets. I grow beets. I have my buddy Eddie Trainer that I talked about at the beginning of the show. I take beets. His wife likes. You either love them or you hate them.
Now, see, they're all right. If that's the only thing and I'm hungry, I'll eat a beet, but it's not going to be my first choice of, ground vegetable.
Right, and the thing is, and you might, I don't know if you want to try this with a store-bought beet, but if you have your own beets and you pick them and they're still tender and you peel them, slice them and put a little salt on them, or you like peppers, salt on a lot of things, eat one raw. Try it raw. It tastes totally different than it does cooked.
That sounds really Oliver Twisty, like somebody's handing me a raw rutabaga and there's your supper.
Yeah, and everything is not for everybody, and that's the other beautiful thing about gardening. Eddie says, I don't like beets. I'll be darned, I'm not going to plant beets.
But nobody likes okra but me, and you customize your garden. You build it the way you want it. That's one of the cool things about it.
Yes, and as we talked all the time, you control what you use to grow it. You control what you use to fertilize it, And there are a lot of commercial fertilizers that are just like 100% chemicals. They come out there, it's almost like a chemical factory, and they're good chemicals. They're nitrogen and they're potassium and are phosphorus and they're potash, but you got to be careful. Because when I use the granular fertilizer, I never use anything stronger than 5, 10, and 10. Because the first number is nitrogen.
Okay.
And there's 10, 10, and 10. There's 20, 20, 20. There's triple 30. You'll burn your plants up in your garden with a lot of that stuff. So you can use.
Well, then why do they sell it? Why would they sell 10, 10, 10 and nitrogen be that high if you're going to use and it's going to cook it?
First of all, you can use 10, 10, and 10, but you got to use a lot less of it. You got to watch the weather that you use it in. You want to put it in the ground in a cool damp in the spring.
That's getting too confusing for people, though.
Well, and the thing is, you don't want to use 10, 10, and 10 in a container and that's the other thing. You put it a little further from the plant, okay? And that's another trick you can get into. If you over-fertilize some things like tomatoes and that, you'll get gigantic tomato plants. You'll get Jack and the Beans, but you won't get any tomatoes. You'll get all foliage.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can over fertilize your corn, and you won't get good production from that. Okay. You'll get more foliage than you get corn. It's just corn needs a lot more nitrogen than say a tomato, but you learn that over the years.
Is there any one dump it, forget it that works reasonably well with all plants? Any one fertilizer?
5, 10, and 10.
5, 10, and 10.
Yeah, and the best way to use that is to, till your ground or spade your ground and then broadcast it. You can actually buy a little thing that you can put the fertilizer in, like you use for grass seeds.
Yep, and just spin it and it slings it out.
But it's a lot cheaper to put it in a bucket and take your hands and fling it, okay?
Yeah.
And scatter it lightly. And the stronger the fertilizer, the lighter that you use, the further you get it from the plants. But you till it in and let it in you don't want to till your fertilizer and then stick your plants in right now. You want a couple of rains, get it working into the soil.
Get it soaked in.
And in your containers, you got to be very careful about not getting it too close. But, if you're growing in containers and if you use the Epsom salts and the Miracle Grow, that's you're not going to burn anything up with Miracle Grow. Tablespoon to a gallon, Epsom salts, tablespoon to a gallon. You're not going to burn anything up, and you will be amazed how well things grow.
I'm going to ask you a dumb question. What is Epsom salt officially, technically supposed to be for?
It's magnesium sulfate, and I will tell you that people used to use it as a laxative. Okay. You asked.
I know. I want to know because it's always sold in the health department, the pharmacy, and it's like, I don't know what that's for.
Or, if you have sore feet, you put it in some warm water, put your foot, there you go.
Okay.
And
does it help your feet?
Yeah.
Do they sprout sooner because of the chemical
your
health?
toenails grow no. What happens is you'll almost feel like a drawing action.
All right.
Okay, from that warm Epsom salts water. And if you got a sore muscle, you pulled a muscle, or you sprained your ankle or something, and it's been an age-old cure. And I remember I was in a store one time. I hadn't thought about this for years, and they were going out of business. And they had Epsom salts, and they sell Epsom salts like in a milk container. It's like a half-gallon milk container.
You're talking about one of the paper ones that you pulled open?
Yes. Okay. They sell it in bags. Okay. But that's the way they had it. And they had the Epsom salts marked out. They were going out of business. It was, 25. So I took every container they had it, and I put it in a little buggy, and I'm going up there. And there was a lady standing there looking at me. And you can feel somebody looking at you.
Giving you the stink eye.
And she finally got up nerve, and they used to refer to laxatives as a physic.
As a what?
As a physic. A laxative, it said if you needed...
If you needed a laxative.
Yeah, they called it a physic.
Okay.
And she was old school, and she came up and she says, "My God, son, are you going to use that as a physic?"
Now, see, you had to say, yeah, and where's your bathroom?
Yeah. But that's, and I understand what she was thinking because that's what she used it for.
How many years did you have those little cartons of Epsom salts before you finally used them all?
Well, by the time I use it, it'll turn into a lump. It'll give up. But you can break it up. And I had it for a while. You store it in a cool, dry place and don't open the container till you're ready to use it. And even if you got small quantities of it, it'll draw moisture, it'll turn into a lump, but you can redissolve it, reconstitute
just
it.
like rock salt, just bust it loose again.
Just bust it loose, yeah.
Charlie Dirt with Jargon talked about the fact that this pesticide continued to exist after we knew what was wrong with it. It has now been banned. Chlorpyrifos. And it's another reason to grow your own vegetables. You talked about tonics for your garden, and snow peas will be happening here in the next few weeks. What did I miss that you wanted to let people know before we wrap up?
I
love when you come here, man.
I love being here. I have a good time. I look forward to this hour every month. And believe it or not, irregardless of the way I sound when I'm here, I do a lot of preparation for this show. I was actually thinking about timely.
What do you mean? In spite of how you sound, you sound schooled on this stuff. That's why I love having you here.
Well, thank you for the compliment. Yeah. And the thing is, you catch the information here and there, and then you put it together. I was thinking about, I want to talk about what you plant in the fall, the beets, the carrots, snow peas, onions. But what else, is pertinent? And I got the radio on, and the guy on Town Hall News does the story about this pesticide. I looked it up online, and I was going to send you the link for this article, but I know you don't like to open links. You said even if it comes from somebody you know, and I understand.
I've opened links from you. I trust you because I know that you've opened it first and your phone still works.
Yeah, my phone doesn't have links. My phone runs on kerosene, and I put a new wick in it once a month.
Sweet.
Since we're doing show and tell, here's Charlie's phone.
That's a great phone.
That's a brand new 4G phone.
Started with, now you can go online with that?
I could if I wanted to pay for extra data in that.
All right, but
I can call, I can text.
But you can text.
You can text. And it's a mil-spec phone. I can drop it out of my tree stand on a rainy day, and when I climb down and pick it up, it's still going to work. That can't be said for a lot of the...
I'm going to ask you a deeply personal question to wrap this up. How much was that phone?
Out the door with a 128 gig card in it, it was about $230.
I hate my life.
And my bill just went up to $42.
I hate you now. Went from live. I just talked last week. My phone bill went up $10 for no reason at all from 1 month to the next.
Yeah, and here's something real quick. We got a few seconds.
Yeah.
If you're an old geezer like me and you hang around with young people like the band people, you learn a lot. The worst thing you can do is hang around with people that are only people your own age.
Yeah.
You need to get the injection from the younger generation. We're at band camp, and a kid looks at his phone, and $400 had disappeared out of his bank account.
Ooh.
So he checked. He had gone out of the country and used his phone, and that was his roaming fee.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And then another lady chimes in and says, well, we were in Buffalo, New York, and my phone hooked into a Canadian tower. And I got
you got
international.
charged for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But I can't do that with my phone.
And you know what you can do about that?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I have a buddy that went to the Württemberg gun show and was doing background checks on his phone for the other gun dealers.
Right.
His phone had a 412 number. He went to Württemberg, which is by Elwood City. That was years. He got roaming for going to Württemberg. Now you can go a little further.
Next episode of Garden Jargon, we're going to talk about the evils of, boiled okra and the phone service. Thank you, boss.
Thank you, Eddie.
Well, that's it